Hello. Welcome back to Cocktails and Cliff Notes. Today we are kicking off the holiday season, and I'm going to tell you the history of the three sisters who defined beauty itself. This is the story of the goddesses of charm, of laughter, and of splendor, the three graces. And we're going to start doing a few seasonal cocktails. Today we're doing the frozen coconut white Russian. So let me show you how we're going to mix this up. And then once we have our drinks, we can really talk. We're going to start with our blender and we're going to just put some ice in that baby. We're going to do 1.5 ounces of unflavored vodka. We're going to do an ounce of Carolyn's or Bailey's or Kahlua, whatever you've got. We're going to take some cream of coconut. We're going to drizzle that in. A little bit of heavy whipping cream. Let's pop the lid on this baby and let's blend it up. We'll fill this up to the top. Now we're going to take some eggnog whipped cream. You guessed it. This is just regular whipped cream. And then you add just a little bit of eggnog to that. Put that like that. A little coconut on top. Straw. Because we're talking about the graces, I had to add some sparkle. And there we have it. The frozen coconut white Russian. That is delightful. Okay, now that we got our drink, let's talk about the graces. Now, the graces, they were not warriors. They did not command storms. They did not throw lightning bolts. But without them, even the gods themselves would seem dull. Now, this is their story. Long before the first lyre was strummed or the first statue was carved, the world was still young and it was very raw. It was powerful for sure, but not yet beautiful. Now, the gods ruled the heavens and the seas, but there was no softness in the world. There was no laughter. There was no joy, really. And so when Zeus, king of the gods, looked upon the earth, he saw its strength without grace. And he ended up turning to the very gentle ocean goddess, Euphrosyne, and he said, "Let us give the world something more, something that makes strength worthwhile." From their union came 3 daughters. They were radiant as the dawn, they were joyful as spring, and they were as gentle as evening light. And they were called the Charites, but the mortals would come to know them as the 3 graces. Their names were Aglaea, Euphrosyne, and Thalia. And this basically means splendor, joy, and bloom. Now, from the moment that they stepped onto Olympus, the air itself changed. Where they walked, the flowers stirred. Where they danced, laughter echoed, and they moved together always. They were 3 as one in a never-ending circle. Now, Aglaea, she brought brilliance and radiance. She was basically the shine in polished bronze, the glimmer in a lover's eyes. Now, Euphrosyne, she was mirth and merriment, and she brought the laughter at a feast. She was the warmth in a friend's embrace. She was communal joy. Thalia, she brought the bloom of life. She was the joy of growth and creativity. She was the music of renewal. Their dance was not just movement. It was rhythm of all beauty in the world. Every smile, every act of kindness, every brushstroke and song, it all flowed from their endless circle. And these lovely ladies, for a time, they were actually servants of Aphrodite. So when Aphrodite rose from the sea foam, the graces were the first to greet her. They bathed her in golden oils and they wove in her hair flowers that were not yet known to the world. They dressed her in these shimmering robes and they placed pearls on her skin. Wherever Aphrodite brought love, the graces were there to bring the light light that actually made love beautiful. Without them, even desire would feel empty. It would be all flame and no warmth. And so from that day on, the Graces became Aphrodite's companions. They were attending to her wherever she went. They scattered joy in her wake, and they made the mortals' hearts lift with a sweetness they could not name. Now, the Graces were also affiliated with Apollo. When Apollo would play his golden lyre, the Graces would appear and they would be moving in harmony with the Muses. The Muses inspired creation, but the Graces inspired delight. Together, they made art divine. They joined melody and beauty like sun and sky. The poet said that whenever a musician played with true feeling or a sculptor's hands moved with effortless perfection, it is the Graces whispering nearby, guiding the motion with unseen hands. Now, as you know, with Greek mythology, there also comes slightly different versions in the form of Roman mythology and slightly different stories being told. So, in some tales, the Graces are said to be the daughters of Dionysus and Aphrodite, which was wine and love, which ultimately was a perfect match. Now, in those stories, they're not just serene, they're wild with happiness. They're dancing barefoot through the vineyards, their laughter spilling like wine across the hills. Now, the Greeks believed that every wedding, every feast, every place where joy was overflowing, the Graces were there. They were unseen, but they were felt in every smile and every spark of affection between friends, family, and lovers. Now, Aglaea, she was the youngest, and she actually has her own little story. She was technically the brightest of the three, and when the goddess Aphrodite left her husband Hephaestus, the god of fire and forge, he was left alone in his workshop, and he was surrounded by flame, but his heart was cold. And it was Aglaea who would visit him, and she did not come with passion, but she came with gentleness and with love and peace. And so she actually was the one that saw the beauty in his craft. She saw art in every single hammer strike as he was forging different things, representing not the raw force of creation, but the elegance that refines it. So it's like craftsmanship, like true, beautiful craftsmanship. Instead of just producing what was needed, it was this beautiful work of art that gets put into every single thing that we do. Together, they taught that true art is not only strength, but grace, the meeting of power and polish. Now, in temples from Sparta all the way to Orchomenus, the Greeks built small shrines to the Graces. They didn't get these vast, towering temples and these insane statues made out of marble. They got these nice, very well mannered, and very tasteful little shrines. And people would offer them honey, they would offer them flowers, and they would sing songs because to honor the Graces was not to fear them, but to thank them. People would thank them for laughter. They would thank them for friendship. They would thank them for art and for the soft light that makes everything glow. Now, the philosopher Seneca once wrote that the Graces are always shown holding hands because kindness and joy must move in a circle, giver to receiver, receiver to giver. And that's their secret, that grace is not kept, it is shared, and it flows like a dance that never ends. So the Graces are technically still with us. They're alive in the smile of a friend. They're in the shimmer of sunlight on the water. They're in the effortless beauty of a kind act. Pretty much anything that brings enjoyment for the sake of enjoyment, not for survival or war or weather, even, but really just for the beauty in life, in everyday life, and in the bigger things. So, whenever something that is ordinary just briefly becomes radiant, that's the Graces, this enchanted feeling that we all experience from time to time, typically in the company of another human that we love and that loves us. That's the Graces at work. Now, the ancients said that even the gods themselves would feel dull without a touch of the graces. And so long as there's joy and beauty and generosity, as long as that remains alive within the hearts of man, which, believe it or not, it's still there, the graces will never stop dancing. Now, the Greeks believed that grace wasn't just beauty, it was the warmth that makes beauty very human. And it was the smile you share, it was the kindness you offer, it was the joy that moves in between us. And now, that again is why the graces are always depicted holding hands. It's to remind us that the best things in life really are meant to be shared. So, the next time that you are enjoying a nice moment, you might think of the graces. And that's the thing about Greek mythology that I find so interesting. It's that they had a deity of some sort, no matter what the scenario or what was going on. There was always something that they could reference to basically pay tribute. And it was slightly different, but there were kind of real time scenarios that they would throw out and that they had something that they would accredit that to. And I find that very, very soothing. I find it very relatable. It's kind of fun to think about. It's a different way of believing. And I'm telling you, this was it. This was the religion before Christianity even blasted onto the scene. And I find it funny. I like talking about the different religions just because, one, everybody kind of has an opinion on what they think is going on down here and what could possibly be happening on earth. We're always trying to assign god or gods and goddesses to basically what we're doing on a daily basis, and that's something that humankind has always done, no matter what, in any scenario, any culture, at any point in time. There's always been an effort made to explain things on earth in a spiritual way, and that's something very, very beautiful. God bless the graces if you're buying it. It's just interesting to me. We're always going to find a way to explain God. It's a massive search for something bigger than us. And this is what the Greeks really and truly believed prior to even Christianity. The graces were just one of many different stories and things that they had pieced together to try to explain some of the different facets of life. I have always loved the graces because I love the idea of there being a driving force behind all things beautiful. Again, either be it a shared moment, something gorgeous to look at, or something being created. And I just think that humankind is fascinating. And again, I very much like the idea of there being a driving force behind everyday beauty. And again, the small things and the big things. So the next time you raise a glass, remember Aglaea, Thalia, and Euphrosyne as they were the light, the laughter, and the life in everything beautiful. Cheers to the graces.